This is our news, the weekend edition, and on the broadcast tonight, officials confident public school repairs will be complete in time for the start of the new school year, as the Prime Minister makes an assessment of the work being carried out. Plus, one man allegedly killed himself after he was found hanging in his home, and a guilty plea by Dominican poachers.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Nolt, and thanks so much for joining us. With roughly 3 weeks left before thousands of students return to the classrooms, the government school repair program is well underway. The nation's chief, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, got a first-hand look on repair work at several schools today, including one school that's been out of operation for some time now. Students of AF Adderley are expected to finally return to proper classroom facilities on the campus, several years after some buildings were condemned. It was one of the schools on the Prime Minister's school tour list as he went around to several public educational institutions today to assess repair work being carried out.
You know, those at AF Adderley have been out of AF Adderley for well in excess of 3 years. And I'm happy to announce that that school is progressing very well. And those students would be able to move back into proper facilities beginning next month or very soon after. So those students would be very happy to move from the Workers' House building, Union building, back into proper educational facilities.
The Eva Hilton Primary School is also undergoing major renovations, which include the addition of a 6th classroom block, installation of a preschool unit, a pavilion, an administration block, and a library.
Eva Hilton, that would definitely be prepared by next month. However, provisions have been made to accommodate our students to ensure that their education is not compromised at all.
In the event Eva Hilton is not fully ready to accommodate all students, provisions are being arranged for a short while at the Kendall G. L. Isaacs Gymnasium. Essie McPherson and Doris Johnson were also among the schools the Prime Minister and his delegation toured. Education Minister Jeff Lloyd remains confident that the school repairs will be complete before the start of the new academic year.
We have been fortunate that a number of our contractors have been able to mobilize themselves without the mobilization sums from the Ministry of Works, Ministry of Education, and the Public Ministry of Finance. And so in some instances, those works are just about near completion. In other instances where there are smaller contractors who are dependent upon that mobilization sum, they have assured us that despite this 3 or so weeks before school opens in earnest, that they are still going to have school ready on opening day, which is September the 3rd, the first Monday in September.
Over $6 million has been allocated to carry out the standard school repair work.
A lot of the works that are being done are plumbing repairs and electrical repairs, and also some air conditioning repairs. So we have tried to keep the contracts small and manageable so that each individual contractor is not overwhelmed with the amount of work that they would have to do over the summer. So we fully anticipate, there's no works really that are planned that would, even if it's not finished, would not interfere with the opening of the school.
Now, the Education Minister also added that 8 additional classrooms have been added at both C.H. Reeves Junior High and the Thelma Gibson Primary School. Well, come next month, students at the Essie McPherson School will have full access to Wi-Fi. It's all a part of the government's push to digitize all public schools. Education Minister Jeff Lloyd says it's a $6 million investment by the government to ensure students and teachers are able to learn and operate in today's technological age.
Happy to report that BTC and Cable Bahamas have been contracted by the government to provide fiber optic services to all of our schools in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas in graduated stages over the next academic year. That's 172 schools. That will be followed by a contract to Walker's Industries for Wi-Fi and internet services throughout those same schools.
Lloyd said it is anticipated that by the end of June 2019, the entire educational establishment will be 100% digitized.
In order to facilitate the 21st century learning and teaching capability, our primary and pre-primary students, totaling approximately 30,000 students, and their teachers and teachers' aides will also be equipped with, in the instance of students, tablets, and their teachers and teachers' aides, laptops, again in graduated stages over the next academic year. So we are very happy about that.
In other news this evening, police are investigating an alleged suicide after a man was reportedly found hanging in the closet of his home on Mastic Street, Blue Hills Heights. Now, according to police, they were called to the home around 6:30 Friday evening, and when officers arrived on the scene, they were directed to a bedroom where they found the man with a rope around his neck hanging from a pole in the closet.
Our brief information is that sometime this morning, the male who we found here at this residence, he was left here alone. Upon the return of the residents of the home, they discovered him here in the closet. We are at this time investigating this matter with a view of trying to determine exactly what happened here at this residence.
Superintendent Anton Ramming of the Central Detective Unit says an autopsy will be performed on the man, who appears to be in his early 40s, to determine the exact cause of death.
The family is giving us some information as it relates to the individual. They are saying that there may have been some cause that they have noticed some recently in relation to this individual. Sometimes there will be signs and sometimes there will not be. But those times when we see signs it is best for us to try as much as possible to get help. Persons, of course, once we see that happening, there are many centers that we can reach out to, that we can speak to individuals who would step in right away and assist those individuals in whatever problem they may be faced with at that time.
Well, 21-year-old Trey Garvey was killed in a hit-and-run accident over in Grand Bahama on July 15th. His family is distraught over the loss of their son, and they feel neglected by the political leaders of their community. Our Jared Hayes tells us more.
Dang, bro, I could sit and I could talk about you for days. Countless nights I prayed, hoping God to keep you safe. You told me I would make it just so long and keep the faith. And if I fall down, get up and learn from my mistakes. You inspired many, intrigued minds aplenty. If I had to search for another you, I won't find any. Bro, we were an army of two, always ready. I pray God keep me strong until it's time for him to get me.
Trey Garvey and his best friend Jariel Glinton were a duo with plans to change the world through their passion for music. Those plans were cut short last month when Trey was tragically killed in a hit-and-run traffic accident on West Sunrise Highway. Now, Glinton only has positive memories of their hopes and dreams to cling to.
He's more than just a best friend, he's a brother. We laugh together, we cry together, make jokes, write songs together. The whole purpose behind me doing this music thing was to open up doors for my friends and other Bahamian entertainers, And one of the first people I was gonna help was my friend Trey.
Trey's father, Trey Garvey, is no stranger in the Grand Bahama community. He's a vocal activist who has taken the plight of Grand Bahamians through the length and breadth of the world. He knew of his son's love of music and says it helps keep his memory alive.
We had already spoken to people in the U.S. who was going to take him up to start producing his song. And Mo, who sang his song, his best friend, he was off. But when we find the grace and we find the strength in God, to know that through God all things is right, it gives us some peace every day.
He was helpful at home in his music. And now and then he'll do a little baking, show us he could bake, a little cook, and all that. He'd be homely between us and his friend, where they were recording music and writing music. That was the thing. You have a whole 2 books of music where they wrote these songs, and was about to record them.
Yes, he was. He was the baby brother, but he was like the big brother. Everybody used to thought he was older than me and my brother, and he was the youngest because of his mindset and him being headstrong, and you couldn't lead him astray, especially if he had his mindset on something. So he was always considered the oldest, but he was the baby.
Despite the positive memories of Trey, his father has been left with a bitter taste in his mouth after he says he was snubbed by Grand Bahama's political leaders following his son's death.
Not one politician entered that church to give me the respect. Not one politician came to my door to give me condolences for me and my family. I am hurt, I am disgusted, and I don't want to see none of them no more.
29-year-old Robert Devano Taylor of Freeport, Grand Bahama, was charged with killing in the course of dangerous driving in relation to Garvey's death, as well as driving a motor vehicle without third-party insurance and driving a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license. He pled not guilty to the charge of killing in the course of dangerous driving and guilty to the other two charges. His trial is set for October 16th of this year. And while the pain is clear, the family says the healing process has begun. A family friend and father of Trey's best friend Jariel specially designed Trey's grave, paying homage to his passion in life, music.
As unique as he was, it'll be sad for us to just let his memory go in vain, and we're going to make sure that his legacy lives on. We're going to remember him in everything we do. My son is already planning to record some more songs. He did a tribute song for him already immediately after his death. He did a tribute song for me. He sung at the funeral, but they're going to make sure even the recordings that he did, they're going to get them mixed and mastered properly and do something that I think Trey will really appreciate.
As close family members gathered around the grave, Trey Garvey had these final thoughts for his son.
It hurts to know that he left us, or I should say God took him back home. But it gives us a better feeling to know that now he's singing the song with God up in there in that heavenly choir, looking down on us. We have our personal angel looking down on us now. So, you know, we just wanted to say, Trey, our final words from you is keep singing. Continue to be jubilant. I know even more, you're more jubilant now to where you are, because he was not careless, he was not careless, he was not reckless. He lived a humble life, 6'4" of humility. And I could tell he touched many, many hearts, not even through my name, not through his father's name, but through his own name. Trey's name will live on forever.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks a lot, Jared. Well, those Dominican poachers who were recently apprehended for illegal fishing in Bahamian waters changed their pleas from not guilty to guilty. The 46 Dominicans who were previously charged before the courts on July 12th after their vessel carrying thousands of pounds of seafood was seized by Defense Force officers. It was during a special sitting of the Magistrates Court on Friday that the group all pleaded guilty to the laundry list of charges related to illegal fishing. They were subsequently convicted and fined $53,000 each. As for the boat's captain, he was also convicted and sentenced to 18 months in prison for firearm possession and 1 year for possession of a shotgun and ammunition. Another Dominican was also slapped with a $100,000 fine, as this was his second conviction for poaching in Bahamian waters. All of the men were remanded to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services and will be deported on completion of jail time or payment of the fines. And we will take our first break here, but still ahead tonight, the opposition doubtful on government's school repairs. You're watching Our News. We'll be back.